Okay, Chelsea, this one is
Hmm.
one of our themed Fringey Minis. And this is in the category of rich people's emotions.
Ah, I was wondering what they've been up to.
Yeah, I mean, most of them took a break because they were all at Bezos's wedding, but they went back to their homes
Mm,
and found that they had fallen into the ocean.
of
So now
course,
we're
of
hearing
course.
about this.
It all makes sense.
This article comes from, oh, that's right. I went into 12 foot, so I don't know where this one came from. 1 second.
What?
I had to go through ad blocker or
Oh, the paywall, yeah.
the paywall blocker.
The paywall
So
jumper.
yeah,
Got
so
to
I
jump
need
over
to
that wall.
find where it's at. This one comes from The Age, which I believe is an Australian news organization. It is written on July 3rd, 2025. Article title.
Australia, hey?
Yeah, we grabbed the cat and got out. The waterside dwellers facing rising sea levels.
Jesus, they really stayed there for a long time.
Oh, you got to
Watching
see
the
these
water come in.
pictures.
Okay.
There's a really nice infinity pool that has taken that very literal and turned itself into the ocean.
Wow. Like, I'm assuming this didn't just happen overnight either. They're just going to ride it out.
Yeah, no, it was real. Here, look at this picture.
I was just trying to Google it. Wow, that pool is on the beach. I was picturing something else, though.
Even more so than I think they wanted it to be.
Yeah, it's fallen off the side onto the beach. It is not the beach coming to the infinity pool, conveniently filling the pool. It's not that.
On April 1st, just before midnight, as a 2.1 meter king tide smashed the New South Wales coastline, real estate agent and father-to-be Steve Somadelis got up for a drink of water. Underneath the floorboards of his low-set 1950s brick house at Dawes Point on the southern reaches of Sydney's Botany Bay, you could hear gushing water. The tide had breached the seawall, protecting the foreshore, inundating the waterfront promenade, main roadway, and beachfront houses. At the geez, this is an awful. I could probably pronounce this last name better, but it starts with a PS, like
It's
like the
because
sound you
it's
make
written
to a
in
cat.
Australian.
Yeah, that's what it is. They have to add those
It's
extra
totally,
letters.
That's why it is. It's barely English.
At the Somadelis's house, a block back from the beach, water was seeping into the laundry and lapping at the sunroom doors. In the driveway, the bonnet of his wife's car was underwater. I don't know what the bonnet of a car is. Chelsea, can you Google Australian for me?
I think it's the front. And if not, then what is okay, keep going. I'll come back to you with that.
Okay. Quote, I called out to my wife, we're flooding. End quote. The Somadelis recalls. Minutes later, seawater was swirling above the top step, just as Somadelis and his pregnant wife Stephanie were attempting to climb out in a side window. Jeez! The SCS arrived to evacuate them. Quote, we grabbed the cat and got out of there, from the title, end quote, Somadelis says. His street flooded to knee height along with the beachfront strip and two neighboring streets. Water rose through the floorboards of their house and sand was dumped across their front yard. They lost 2 fridges and a couch, and Stephanie's car was a write-off. Between rising sea levels and more frequent extreme weather events, Australia's coastlines are being battered by the very visible effects of climate change. Has the dream of living by the beach become a nightmare? And what will Australia's coastline look like in a decade to come? Quote, the April king tide was once in a 50-year event, and it's happened twice in the last 10 years, end quote, says Somadelis, who bought his house in 2022, 7 years after Dawes Point had flooded last in April 2015 king tide. His neighbors, some of who had lived there over decades, also blame infrastructure interventions on Botany Bay, including 2 airport runways and a desalination plant, which they say have changed the tidal patterns. Quote, is it worth it? Yeah, for a place like this it is, end quote, says Somadelis. Quote, I can see the beach and its beautiful area. We won't leave over something like this, end quote.
Okay.
Okay. They are going to complain to the government, though, guaranteed.
Oh, probably. I'm surprised it didn't call the cops.
I'm waiting for that part of the article. Bad news for Australia's coast-loving communities is that rising sea levels are leading to more frequent and extreme events, resulting in severe coastal erosions and inundation of low-lying areas. The drivers behind coastal erosion are complex. Tidal patterns, storm systems, ocean temperature, and broader climate cycles like El Niños and La Niña. But rising sea levels complicate the picture further. The recent East Coast low, described by meteorologists as a bomb cyclone, and the first to hit the New South Wales, NSW's New South Wales, right?
Yeah.
hit the New South Wales coast since 2022 has brought the topic into sharp focus. It's likely to cause coastal erosion and damage to infrastructure between Seal Rocks and the New South Wales Victorian border. UNSW coastal erosion expert associate professor Mitchell Harley says there's no evidence that East Coast lows have become more frequent or severe in recent years. However, rising sea levels means their impact on the built coastline will be more profound. East Coast lows are the subject of ongoing research, says Harley, as present climate models lack the resolution to truly capture their unpredictable behavior. Sea levels have been on an upward trajectory since records were first collected in the 1880s, but satellite monitoring over the past 3 decades shows a clear pattern. Not only are sea levels rising, the rate is accelerating. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change released its 6th report, published in 2021, found a global mean sea level rise per year of 3.2 millimeters from 1993 to 2015 and 3.6 millimeters from 2006 to 2015. A 2024 NASA analysis of satellite data found a faster than expected rise last year alone, largely due to thermal expansion of seawater. Scientists had anticipated an increase of 4.3 millimeters, but instead recorded 5.9 millimeters, a direct result of 2024 being the hottest year on record. And that's a weird thing to think about too, Chelsea, that sea levels rising isn't just like ice melting and raising the volume of ocean. Warmer water expands. Like that's what it does. It expands. So even if more ice was melting to get into the ocean, the water warming is going to make the ocean bigger.
I never thought about that.
I know. Me neither.
We just need to melt some more of the ice caps so that it cools the ocean down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It'll balance it out.
I think that's probably what they're thinking right now.
That's the long-term plan for global warming right there.
Exactly.
Right out of Futurama.
Yeah.
Though these increments sound minuscule, the impact on coastal communities can be monumental. Quote, as a general rule of thumb, for every 10 centimeters of sea level rise, you might see 3 times more extreme flooding events depending on your location. End quote, says Dr. Julian O'Grady, a sea level scientist with the CSIRO. The IPCC's projections for sea level rise are sobering. They vary depending on location. Geez, is everybody in Australia drunk? That they need to sober them up with. Okay. By the way, I'm not doing an Australian accent. 1, because I can't do it that well. But 2, I need you guys to take what I'm saying seriously. You just can't with an Australian accent.
You're no Colin McGee, sir. He's good.
Okay. No idea who that is. The IPCC's projections for sea level rises are sobering. They vary depending on the location and whether we can meet Paris Agreement emission targets. Even if global warming is limited to 1.5 degrees above pre-industrial levels, the IPCC is predicting a global sea level rise of 0.15 to 0.23 meters by 2050. By 2100, under very high emission scenarios, it could be 1 meter. Extreme sea level events that occurred once per century will be 20 to 30 times more frequent by 2050, the IPCC says. Along with New South Wales coast, state government data predicts rises of up to 2.3 meters by 2100 and 5.5 meters by 2150 under very high emissions.
Wow.
Figures which, unlike the IPCC's, include the impact of melting ice sheets. CSIRO modeling for Melbourne's Port Phillip Bay, released in 2024, predicts council areas like Hobson Bay, Greater Geelong, Frankston and Mornington Peninsula could see 3 times the current degrees of sea level inundation under a scenario in which sea levels rise by 1.4 meters by 2100. At king tides, extreme weather and storm surges, and it's a disastrous picture for anyone living within a few blocks of the beach. O'Grady knows just how vulnerable Australia's coastline is, both as a scientist and as a beach lover. His family camps each year at Pambula Beach on the New South Wales coast. Several decades ago, a storm eroded the front row of campsites. The local community restored a wide vegetated dune, a natural barrier that now protects campsites and caravan park. Quote, my kids hear the story every year, end quote, says O'Grady, who explains to them that regular tides and even king tides are highly unpredictable, but it's the forces caused by anthropogenic climate change, leading to heavier rain events, more intense cyclones, and rising sea levels caused by glacial melting and thermal expansion that are pushing ocean water further onto land and increasing the potential for coastal erosion. O'Grady and his team are tracking how often these events occur, how high sea levels rise during them, and how climate change is increasing their frequency and intensity, and providing web-based tools and data for local councils. The Coastal Council are doing a great deal to understand and adapt. He says, quote, but we need to keep providing information about climate change and sea level rise and how that might impact the coast, end quote. There's a lot of this article left, so I'm just going to skip down to see if there's anything about bailouts for the rich people.
Okay, I would love to know about that, and I really hope that it doesn't come up.
I really worry for the rich.
Do you
They're
think the
just
police made
returning
any
from
arrests?
Bezos' wedding. You know, I don't see anything in here. That's probably far enough then for the... Oh, wait. I'm just going to skip ahead. It starts talking about the Whites. I have to assume that's the last name of somebody they're talking to at some point. Because it's capitalized. But I don't know for sure. It's a question the Whites can't bear to ask themselves. In their mind, they tally the collective value of homes at immediate risk. About 200 homes worth roughly $1 million each, plus the town's sewage system, a caravan park, and the RACV club resort. If the coast road is breached, the town will be cut off from Cape Paterson and the RACV resort, which is a major employer in the town, and vital infrastructure will be destroyed. The thought is overwhelming for everyone. We have not looked at an alternative. It's too depressing, says Allison. Quote, at our stage of life, we're not ready for a retirement village, and I doubt whether any compensation you get back would be worth what you put in. That's probably far enough, and also kind of out of context and doesn't tell you much. I really hope that was their last name. But...
I do love that you jump back in with the Whites with no context.
Yeah, this is a great place to go in and finish off.
Yeah, exactly. I have comments. Number one, I really hope that the orcas take advantage of this and start now attacking actual mansions instead of just yachts. I feel like there's really opportunity to up their game here.
Well, I've seen it. The Argentinian orcas, they can hunt on land. Like, they push in and come in and then come back out. Oh, yeah. Watch Whales on Disney Plus, I think. It explains how orcas in Argentina specifically, or Chile, it's South America somewhere, develop this hunting scheme where they, like, push things onto land and then beach themselves.
He's on the beach.
Yeah, and then go back in.
I love those guys.
So, yeah, I mean, the billionaires on the coastline in South America are kind of screwed.
Which leads me to my next point. I was thinking while you were doing this, I was like, oh no, the billionaires are going to scrap the beach idea and they're going to move to the hills. So then they get the second best views and the safety. They're going to go to the mountains. So then they look down and they see the beach from afar. But it really made me happy because they're just going to protect us because we'll never be able to afford the beach. So they'll just serve as a border, like a wall, some may say, between the ocean, the rich, and everybody else. Like the
You mean
people.
these abandoned houses?
No, the people who are still
Okay.
in there. Because I'm not sure if it probably was the Whites that made the comment that the view is still worth it, losing their house to the ocean.
I think we actually did cover that in one too, remember? I think it was in Nantucket where somebody paid like $200,000 for a house that was definitely going to go into the ocean.
Yeah.
And he's just like, yeah, I can afford it, so I'm just going to lose the money.
I can afford it, and if I sell it now, it's just not going to be worth the same amount, so I might as well stay. So they're just going to take it, apparently. They're not going to move to the hills like what
Some of
I
them
would
won't,
probably
yeah.
do. But I can't afford that property, so I'll just let them be the first to go. I have no problem doing that at all.
Well, I also feel like the story I got from this article too is everybody who's been flooded did not learn a single lesson from it.
Nope.
The guy's like, yeah, still, I'm not moving.
Yeah, I called the cops. They made some arrests of the oceans, and we're going to get bailed out. They're going to build the sand back up, and we're all going to be fine. And then the orcas come in, and they're the best, in my experience.
Yeah.
Third thing I have to read to you. The bonnet of a car, called the hood in North America, is the hinged cover that sits over the engine compartment at the front of most vehicles. The purpose? First bullet point, protects the engine and components like the battery, radiator, and belt. Second bullet point, provides access for maintenance and repairs. And third bullet point, often includes insulation for noise reduction and heat protection. So that's what that is.
So they call the hood the bonnet and the trunk the boot. Do they think cars are people?
They think they're babies.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
That's how you refer to a baby, right? You call the hat
the bonnet side or the boot side of a baby.
The butt is the boot. No, the
See,
foot,
I thought
the foot. Damn
the
it,
foot,
my
yeah,
English.
because they got booties.
Yeah, boot. Yeah, it's a baby.
Okay. This might actually help me understand Australians better. And hey,
I
you
think it
guys got
does.
48 hours. You just sit on this.
Yeah.
This will help you understand Australians better and probably interact with them on their level now.
We're
Anyhow,
the experts. Bye.